I'll do that again. Janis Johansson identifies as both European and Indigenous and belongs to the Gitxsan Nation of Northern BC. She has a background in personal and community wellness and is the founder of River Mist Wellness. She currently resides in Nanaimo. Welcome, Janis.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It's great to see everybody. And thank you for the nice introduction. I am in the unceded territory of the Coast Salish people, of the Snuneymuxw, Snuneymuxw, and Snuneymuxw people. And I'm happy to be here. I work in the New Chelmsford communities right now, also on top of sharing some wellness things with people. And Hermione first, and I want to thank you to our great hosts. They've been amazing to work with, and just really personable and easy to say yes to this. So thank you very much, Sage and Jenny. And and to Hermione and I have known each other for quite a while, since I worked at Southern Lalem Society, traveling in the island, and we were able to actually bring Hermione in to do a presentation with our staff there. And I have a deep respect for her and her work and her heart and her tenacity. And so I'm just honored that she keeps thinking of me for these things. And so I'm just looking at the screen here. So is it possible to share the whole thing at once, just this one screen, or is it just me that's only seeing part of it?
I can see the screen, it's just not full view.
Okay.
Full screen.
Okay, let's go with that. I'm good with that. I am. Oh, there's that too. I'm good with that too. Actually, it might have been good for me to see it the other way, so I knew what was coming. But anyways, this is going to be a very organic process, because the one thing, if I've had anything drilled into me in my 20-year career working in working Indigenous communities, from everything from harm reduction and trauma counseling and so many different things, were all focused on trauma and looking after ourselves, and this leaving things in a good way to the most we can do. So I don't want to pile a bunch of heavy stuff on you at this part of a Friday evening. It's actually even kind of feels like it's getting dark here, so it's going to be light. And actually, and I'm remiss, I wanted to mention also that my pronouns are she and her, and and I wanted to acknowledge that as well. So I'm practicing doing that, and I know it's important. And also to acknowledge the Métis people. I had a meeting today, and there's a Métis elder there, and so she was acknowledging the local First Nations, and also that there's Métis people living with us on these beautiful lands. So in looking at this poster, or this picture, sorry, and it's actually of the Seven Sisters. That's a nickname for these mountain ranges that are up in the northern BC area, where my ancestors are from. And as you can see, they inspired my logo here. That is my old logo from my old business, and I wasn't quite ready to leave that behind, but I really loved the idea of this river mist, and that Gitxsan people are people of the river, or I've even heard the Gitxsan people are people of the river mist. So I think that's pretty powerful. And I love mountains. I'm all about mountains. And after I picked this, as things go, I found out that there's one theory that there's 7 aspects of wellness there. And then I remembered that Aline Laflemme shared with us, she's a Métis elder from the mainland, and she shared with us these 7 natural ways of healing. And I really appreciate what she had to share with us, because I'm all about having all our own answers inside of us, realizing that we're connected and whole, that we're okay exactly how we are. We don't have to do or be anything different or take another course. to find that wellness and that stillness within us. And so she really gave us that message that we're surrounded by things that remind us of how connected we all are and the power that is around us, and how we're just a little small piece of that, and to use the power of and the strengths that come from those things. And so I actually wanted to have a cedar bough today with me just to talk a little bit about that, nature and the power of nature. But it was pouring rain when I had a break, and so I didn't go there. But I think if anything I'd want to leave you with after this presentation today would be just a sense that, just a reminder that there's so many ways that we can look after ourselves, and that we are okay, even though it's really hard to feel that sometimes. And some days we are absolutely okay. And if that means we're having a big cry, we're okay. And I remember talking to, I call her my bonus daughter. She's a Dene. And I was saying to her, but what do I say to people about those times when you're not okay and nothing's going to work? Like the smudging isn't going to work, or the walk in the woods isn't going to work, or nothing makes me feel better. And she's like, well, that's a great message, because if we've all had those feelings and we're still here, then we know that those also pass, and those also don't define who we are or what we're capable of. And so it's just okay. And I know that my bed at this time of year is, so I do not want to part with my bed in the morning. I have like separation anxiety from my bed. Like, it's so where I think I want to be. I'm like, what do I have to get through before I can get back in my bed? But I know that that's going to shift once I'm up and around and had some coffee. Like, I can part with my bed. And so that reminds me of a lesson that I learned this year from another person that works with people in trauma, is this idea of, yeah, I really want to stay in bed, and I know that I'll feel better once I make it to the washroom, or once I get myself a glass of water. So it's like acknowledging that feeling of how comfortable something is, and also acknowledging that I can take that one step towards looking after myself for wellness, right? And maybe it's like, I really want to stay in bed till 3, and you know what? I can get myself up at 12 and have a healthy lunch and have a good lunch, right? So not to resist those feelings, because they're just part of the human condition, but to really work with them and embrace them, and at the same time transform them a little bit or reframe them. Thank you for moving me on. So would you want to go back to the what to expect? Because I think I've covered everything. Oh, wow. I don't know where I'm going or where we've been. Okay. So I've told you about me. I've told you a little bit about this presentation. So I think I'm going to do, okay, so I didn't really tell you exactly who I am. So I am actually, my grandfather went to residential school at Alert Bay. So I'm an intergenerational survivor of the Indian residential school system. And he, and I think the important part about these presentations is always that this is just one perspective from one person. And if I was on a team of 10 colleagues, we would all do this 100% different. So I think that's important. This is just what I have learned about myself and my history, and what I also feel is important to impart on others. And so usually this is really heavy on residential school and colonization and all the harms. But because it's the end of the day, I would rather just kind of focus a little bit on, exactly what we're here talking about today is health outcomes and addiction and homelessness and some of those things where Indigenous people are just way too largely represented. So we'll cover that a little bit. And then I'm just going to try to shift the energy a little bit back to, how we can leave feeling good and wherever that takes us. So this is a good time if anyone has any questions to ask. I'm good with that.
I just wanted to let you know that I'm from Alert Bay, and I'm just sending my heart out to you and your grandfather and all the residential survivors who went through there. My heart is really with everybody, and especially you and your family. So thank you for
Oh,
sharing that, Kayla Kessler.
oh, thank you. Oh, okay. And so I, yeah, have a really big spot in my heart for Alert Bay, and my grandfather was actually one of, and I think that this is a way I've learned too. Is like whatever I'm saying, I'm not off track. I'm just saying what um, yeah, what I'm supposed to be saying. It's all I think there's learning in everything if you pay attention to people, right? And so, from what I understand is that a lot of Gitxsan people didn't go to school at Alert Bay. They went. I have lots of relatives who went to Port Alberni and also to Edmonton. But a fisherman scooped my grandfather up from the reserve up north, or not the reserve, sorry, their villages up there. It's different process, and took him on the fishing boat and dropped him off at residential school and gave him some alias, and he found his way out of there at like 12 or 13 and made his way back to the community, thank goodness. But it was Wedlady who I know for sure that you'll know him, Keisha, is that he showed me a bunch of pictures of people that went to residential school in the era that my grandfather would have went, and he was asking me, it's like 60 boys in a black and white photo, do you know which one's your grandfather? I'm like, I have no idea. And I brought it to my mom, and my mom zoomed in on this little 6-year-old, and I'm like, like I have no, like I grew up very close to my grandfather but did not see that at all. And then my uncle came in, she's like, which one do you think's dad in this picture? And he zoomed right in on the same little 6-year-old in the first little row. And I was like, what? Like, you guys are blowing me away, like so powerful. And then my brother came in, and my mom asked him the same question, and he picked out an older boy and the same young boy and said, I don't know, it's either one of those two, looks like grandpa. And so Wedlady, who likes to keep a record of these things, then wrote on the back my grandfather's name and said, yeah, that's him, right? If that's that era and that's how old he would be, and all, you know, your family recognize him, then that's enough to go into the records. And so it's pretty powerful. So thank you for acknowledging that, Keisha, that means a lot. And so, yeah, so let's go to the next slide and see what we have, Sage. Okay, so Hermione, we always bug Hermione, but she's really big on stats, and I'm like so not a stats person. And but it's important. I know they're important, but instead of including the stats, I just thought I would kind of summarize them a little bit from what I got out of the numbers. And you know, it's that we make up a really small part of the population. I don't think we're near 10%, but I think we're a little bit. We have a very young population, so we're over 5% for sure. And that we just represent in all the you know, health outcomes. We're just so highly represented, right? So when it comes to the overdose crises and, you know, HIV and hepatitis, the numbers are just way, you know, way too out of proportion. And Hermione taught me a few years ago that what's interesting is that hepatitis C, we still have higher rates than anyone else comparatively, even though for some reason our people are able to spontaneously clear hepatitis C more effectively or more often than the rest of the population. So I found that quite fascinating. And I think it goes back to that whole idea that if all of these diseases and everything that happened during colonization wiped, some people say 70, some people say 90% of or 90 up to 95% in some communities, and almost totally obliterated the indigenous people of this land, that survivors must have some pretty strong constitution, right, Keisha? Like we must have some great resilience in our blood. And so that's how I explain the spontaneous clearing rate, and so many other things that we've just been able to I want to say overcome, but more like conquer in our own right. And then Indigenous women overdose at higher rates than Indigenous men. And I found that so heartbreaking, because I just know that our Indigenous women are the most highly marginalized, and than any other population, like we're talking immigrants and everybody. It's Indigenous women that face the most barriers to safety and food and healthy lives than anyone else. And so to have this outcome too is just really, really awful. And I bet you people that work on the streets and have a little more intimate knowledge than I do would understand that piece a little bit. I mean, I have my ideas, but and so we know that these outcomes come from the levels of trauma, the generational trauma, the ongoing colonization, just the systems and everything in place in this country just are not built for Indigenous people, right? And we're not leading in the places yet that we need to be, showing people coming up after us that that we do have a voice and we do get to make decisions for ourselves. And then racism, like I was telling you that I've heard, I need, well, I didn't tell you this part, but I really need to have like an example sometimes, or a lived experience of something before I can really make something kind of land. And when I heard that Indigenous women are the most marginalized, I was like, what does that mean? Like, I'm not really good at comprehending things sometimes. And yeah, because the Indigenous women I saw in my life, I could understand it to a certain part, but there's a part that I was kind of missing with my whiteness. And what I think that kind of got drawn a picture for me. About 3 years ago, one of my relatives came to me and she said that she was experiencing violence. I'm going to try to glean over things, so don't think I'm trying to minimize it. I'm just trying not to go too deep into it. In her home, and she called the police, and the police came, and they didn't charge the guy because the guy had already left the premises. And the two stories that she had running in her head, because she had moved out of off the reservation with her family to a city so she'd go to university. So the two things in her head that were going through her mind were, I'm going to do the right thing and call the police, because sometimes it's not the thing that you do for obvious reasons of the relationship between the RCMP and Indigenous people. But she said, no, I'm going to call. And so she called, and then they let her down, right? They didn't protect her. They didn't arrest the guy. And the other thing in her mind that she had was, I know he's going to get arrested for something really benign, like a property crime or something, but they won't arrest him for beating on me. And she only got like helped because somebody else was there somebody came home. And so the long story short was, yeah, he did get arrested for a property crime. That was kind of the big wound for her, and the big tears for her. And also that she tried to do the right thing and she was let down. And so I said to her, we've been doing these kinds of talks with the police department and with victim services. And I know this really nice victim service. No, I said to her, did you get victim services? And she said, no, what are victim services? And she said, about 3 days after it happened, I had someone show up at my house wondering if my children were safe. I was like, what? And so I also have come from a violent, I had a very violent relationship for 13 years of my life, super violent. And the police were called numerous times over those years, and never ever was my daughter threatened to be taken away from me because of my whiteness. I know that's why, because of my privilege, because of being given the benefit of the doubt because of my skin color. But just a few years ago, to know that this level of racism and profiling and lack of services was imparted on my cousin when she was trying to do what she thought was the right thing. So that's when I offered her this victim services people, because I found them helpful. And she's like, no, just leave it alone, right? Because she was saying any attention you bring to this puts my children at risk of being taken away, even though her children had never been taken away. That's how she felt. And I was just like, wow, like, I get it, right? I get this whole thing that this, Indigenous women are marginalized at a higher rate than any other demographic, have the less access to service, and, and are the most likely to suffer violence and a violent death. And so, yeah, that was just mind-boggling, the difference between how I was treated when I called the police, and then at the same age as her probably, and then how she was treated. So that's what we talk about this stuff, because people will say, well, I'm on the street, or I had this, I had that. I'm like, I went through, I never lived on the street, and I went through a lot of the other things, right? To put me in recovery, and to, have me in homeless shelters, and, teenage pregnancy. And I went through a lot of those things, and I always was given the benefit of the doubt. I was always given the services were thrown at me. I even was given money after violent situations, because back then, I don't know if they still do it, but victim services could attach a dollar amount to whatever crime was, that you experienced. And so that's the difference, right? So I really did go through a lot of those things. And I also knew I could walk into any place at any time and be given refuge because of what I look like. I could walk into any place and use the washroom if I asked nice enough. I jumped out of a car one day in a moving car, and like jumped into the front seat of a police officer's car, right? Because of the privileges that I've been given. So yes, there's lots of levels of trauma. There's lots of people who've been through a lot of things. And we also need to acknowledge that, being a visible, or, being an Indigenous person, or even being a visible minority, is just puts a whole nother level of safety, lack of safety, on that. So let's see, what time are we at? Oh, okay, we're not halfway through yet. So yeah, these are things that have, contributed to that abuse, right? So I don't know if anyone's seen a blanket exercise before, but it's like an experiential kind of exercise that people do to learn about the history of residential school and colonization and all the things that happened to Indigenous people on Turtle Island, which is this North American territory we're on. And I remember one day trying not to cry while I was reading it. And I was projecting my voice. I'm just like, I just cry every day at work. Like I don't feel like I'm an empath. I just feel like certain things just hit me. And so like probably every day of my career, something's brought me to tears, and it isn't good or it isn't bad. It's just part of who I am now. But when I'm trying to do a presentation, it'd be really great if I could like finish what I'm saying and not disrupt other people's processes. And so I found myself really fighting the tears. And so what I did is I stood on a chair, which I do sometimes to project my voice, but I projected my voice out louder. And in that way, I was able to stay away from the emotion, and I was able to stay away from the tears. And I was like, wow, I really understand people who show up yelling at me sometimes, right? Show up projecting their voice, show up seeming so angry, show up in the hospitals yelling at the nurses before the nurses have even got to them, right? It's this generational fear and emotion for some people, and like racism that they've experienced, and going against everything you could possibly go into this white, sterile institution, and needing to kind of try to separate ourselves from that a bit. And so I understood that presentation a lot better. Again, sometimes I need to, feel it on some level to really get where some of that's coming from. And so, yeah, so, where people have a hard time in hospitals, and we're hearing more and more about that. There was a potlatch ban. We've had record number of people taken out of their homes now and put into, even to this day, into foster homes and being adopted out. And there's a lot of energy going towards that. I don't know if there's a lot of change happening quick enough. And then medical experiments. That was actually, it was released on December 11th. They did a reading of that probably 10 years ago in Port Alberni, and it just made sense. One of my jobs was to sit with residential school survivors, and a lot of them in Port Alberni, and hear what had happened to them. And some things just didn't add up, right? We would talk about these wires or these pains or this shock or these games, and I didn't quite, and this hunger, this really, really bad hunger while the staff was eating so well. And they found out that they were actually purposely starving children just so they could try different vitamins and minerals on them. And so that part really put some pieces together for me, and really, brought my level of, a lot of swear words in a row to a whole higher level when I heard about that. All right, Sage. All right, so we're going to skip that. We're going to skip that timeline. Actually, you could look that up if anyone was interested on another day and another time. There's a really great timeline on YouTube. Do you want to flip back to it so I can see what it's called, Sage? Sorry. Indian Residential School Timeline. It's just a really good 5 or 6 minutes that kind of goes through everything that's happened. And I don't think it's just residential school. I think there's other pieces to it. But we're not going to do a deep dive into that today. Yeah, and this just talks a little bit about what's, still happening, what we see the impacts today, because, we used to talk about all this stuff like it was in the past, and it's very much current. Yeah, white people sometimes are a trigger for people. Yeah. I've had residential school survivors really not be comfortable with me, which I could totally understand. And yeah, that's a truth for some people. Some people, that's their biggest work, is working on that. Can you go back to the impacts just to make sure I didn't miss anything? Oh, wow, we're already at reconciliation. Isn't that how it works? Just jump through all that and we're just make it all go away. So yeah, Christianity is sometimes a trigger for people, and a negative trigger. And for some people, it's been what's got them through. I really believe that lots of our people took up Christianity when our other ways of being together were taken away from us. And so I'm sure there are some things that our people found in Christianity that they couldn't experience anymore because of the ban on the culture and the potlatches and our own spirituality. So that would make sense to me. But for some people, it's just, it's just because it's a residential school trigger, right? And then alcohol and sobriety, yeah, we have alcoholism. We've heard all about that, but we also have sobriety. I've been a part of a huge sober Indigenous community for a long time. A big one over on the on the West Coast, and then a very big community through the treatment center over on this coast. And all the graduations are celebrated sober, all of the birthday parties, dances, weddings. I mean, we're talking hundreds of people. And so I think this is one thing that we forget about, is that sometimes our addiction is worse because of the intergenerational traumas. And then we also, balance that out by having a lot of sobriety and strength, and people who never picked up the fire water to begin with, and stuck to their to their ways of being and knowing. And all right, next, please. We're going to skip that too. So reconciliation, this is like a big, it's kind of probably like a swear word for some people, and for some people it's kind of their purpose. And so I don't want to take that away from anybody. I just know that we all have a different interpretation of what that means. And for what it means to me is that first of all, I needed to reconcile between the Indigenous part of me and the non-Indigenous part of me. That was years in the making, and identity crisis and shifts, to get to a place where I get who I am, and nothing more and nothing less. And then also reconciliation of my family. So my daughter and I do a lot of this work. My daughter is the only one sometimes, if I'm really up against my stuff or getting too carried away, she's the only one that can snap me out of it, because she can see it before I can see it. But I also believe her because I know she has nothing to gain. And so I trust her wholeheartedly, and I trust her judgment. And I wish it didn't come down to that sometimes, but she is that honest mirror sometimes that I just need to kick myself in the butt to know when I'm not okay. And so it's working out those relationships too. And the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, after all the hearings of residential school survivors, and after all the Truth and Reconciliation gatherings that were very, 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 very much underattended by the rest of the Canadian population. A lot of Indigenous people went, and can't really have reconciliation unless a lot of the non-Indigenous people show up. And it was pretty disappointing. I was pretty disappointed at the attention and lack of participation, I think, that happened during that time. But there are some people did show up and continue to show up in those ways. And so out of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, after they heard people's stories and figured out what happened, mostly circa Indian residential school era, they came up with 3 commissioners from Canada, came up with some calls to action, some recommendations of what we need to do. And so a presentation like this would fit into the calls to action when it comes to educating people, when it comes to putting forward the voices of Indigenous people, of all Indigenous people, and and starting to let us be the experts of our own path and our own way out of this mess. The 7 natural healing ways. So I mentioned this briefly in the beginning, and this has just been so powerful for me because it's so simple and it's so accessible and it's all free. And really, this was Aline Laflamme said, can you guess what the 7 natural healing ways are? Oh my goodness, I had so many ideas and none of them were this straightforward, right? They were all related to these ways, I think. But to know that we all have these healing ways in us everywhere we go. And that we sometimes just need to be really creative about how we look after ourselves using some of these things. And I was saying these are some unprecedented times, and everything we learn about looking after ourselves, we just have to ramp it up a little bit. We just have to ramp up what we do to look after ourselves and each other. We just have to ramp it up a little higher so we can meet the level of stress that's coming in at us. And we absolutely are 100% able to deal with this stuff, because if we've dealt with and overcome something here, we have all those skills now to bring forward to apply to this. And like I say, sometimes it just means taking them up a notch, taking this kind of care for ourselves. So I'll just share a little bit about what these 7 natural healing ways mean to me. And so talking to me, it's always usually counselors, or I've called up people to say, I just have to say this out loud and have a cry about it because it's kind of stuck in me and I need someone to hear me. And when I can't be with someone, I've learned to replace that person with a tree. I can tell it all to a tree and I can still move that energy. Emotion is energy in motion, or energy in motion. And so basically it's just keeping that going, right? Keeping it shedding it and letting go, and then crying, you know, that one's pretty obvious. Cries can be so healing. Like, they're not healing if I don't drink a lot of water after, because I get dehydrated. I used to be like, crying makes me feel sick after. No, dehydration makes me feel sick after. Crying makes me feel lighter and good. And singing, holding back crying sometimes can make me not feel great. Singing, oh yeah, singing our favorite song, or cultural singing, or listening to people singing. I mean, these are all things at our disposal. This is our life hacking sheet, right? Like these are things. And my daughter, my daughter would like go through some, you know, processes, healing, learning, and she'd say, oh, this stuff doesn't work. And I'm like, yeah, it's like going to the gym, right? You just got to keep practicing it. And for some people, we have to practice harder. Like, we have to be in the process all the time. We have to just, you know, take the ideas that are coming, or take the messages as the signs, and really apply ourselves to doing that next piece we need to do to look after ourselves. And sometimes it's a spontaneous dance party, and sometimes it's signing up for some intensive counseling, right? Only we know what that is. And yeah, and then so the spontaneous dance party, yeah, no, not right now. We're thinking about doing, I think we're going to end with a spontaneous dance party, only if everyone gets up with us, but we're not quite there yet. And then yelling and screaming. Oh, I do this in my car now because I just don't have the same access to this, you know, being in the forest and stuff I did in my other jobs. And I don't get out of the car by myself when I'm in the forest on the road traveling it. So yeah, it's a little bit different, but I do this. I feel guilty, but I'm going to make a confession. I yell and scream at Siri, and Siri's actually a boy, like it's a male British voice or something ridiculous like that. And I actually have fights with Siri in my car. I'm just like scream at him. And I don't know if you've known this, but if you bug Siri too much, she just turns off. If you ask her, like, you have to try this, you ask her repeated questions or dumb things, yeah, she's like, bam, she just cuts right out, right? And so this Siri and I, we fight a lot. And sometimes I'm like, you're just gonna listen to me yell. I just need someone to listen to me yell. And it's actually like super cathartic. And I love driving down like the streets in Nanaimo, my windows rolled tight, and I'm like swearing and yelling at Siri. And he can handle it because he's just a stupid computer anyways, right? And I do it in front of my husband. Like, some people are more sensitive than me, because my husband and my mom will be like, don't talk to him like that. This is the only safe place I can talk like that. And so then Siri comes up with the most hilarious things one day. I guess I was mad at racism one day. So I'm like, Siri, are you a racist? And he says, no, Miss Janis, I am not a racist. I am an anti-racist, and I fight for other people's rights and believe that everybody should be treated equally or something. I was like, what? I'm like, okay, Siri, I'll be nice to you for a little while. So, and then Siri will tell me jokes. I'll abuse Siri for like a half an hour and be like, Siri, tell me a joke. And then Siri tells me a couple of jokes. So, you know, it's the sign of the times, but sometimes you just got to do what you have to do, right? And then shaking, like, again, my song and dance, I always give kudos to Taylor Swift. I don't even know if I'm a fan. She's the Sagittarius, and I am too. So maybe I am on a deeper level. But this whole shaking it off, like I've played that at like lateral violence workshops, and because she says, like, you know what, it doesn't matter what people say, and people are gossiping about you, and people got all these judgments and all these whatever, and we can just shake it off. Yeah, right? Like, we got to give her some credit, I guess. I just never want to like pigeonhole myself to like, oh, so we had this presenter and she's like a huge Taylor Swift fan. Like, that's not the profile I'm going for. But anyways, it is what it is. And so I super appreciate that song. She has some great lyrics, and she that just to be able to move that energy. I can't really sit down when I'm listening to that song. So that might be what we need to shake it off to when we end this today. And so when I think of shaking, though, I think of our people dancing around the fire, right? There's definitely a shaking piece to that. There's a lot of shaking of feathers and rattles and costumes, and for the Cowichan people, it's the canoe paddles that shake and clank, and it's just another way to move energy. And when I think about the yelling and screaming, I'm thinking, and the Shaker Church, absolutely. The Shaker Church is just this really powerful mix of Indigenous people and Christianity, and it comes together in a really beautiful way. And so so the yelling and screaming, I think about of like when we have cold water baths, it just that guttural noise comes out, right? And so again, energy and motion. How do you move your emotion so it doesn't get stuck there, right? How do you sometimes just a little mind shift and a reframe, and sometimes it's an all out, call in all the forces. We need to move something here. And then laughter has all this effect on our physiology, on our body, on our everything. Like it just changes our brain chemistry. It changes the chemical flows in our body. It just it's like if we could laugh 5 minutes a day, disease probably couldn't even live in our body. It just has this amazing effect. Laughter is the best medicine. Well, it's so true. And it's one thing that I find so inspiring and powerful in community is that communities can be going through the worst things, but there's always this opportunity to share a laugh with people, and it's usually a belly laugh or an all out, throw your head back and laugh, right? Because it's just a natural way to keep that energy flowing and to keep our bodies in balance. And so pretty amazing, hey, that we have these ways to look after ourselves. And children know the magic in laughing and play, right? We got to play and we have to be silly sometimes. And children absolutely don't know that. I also encourage revealing your inner weirdo, get your goof super freak. Okay, well, thank you, Monty, because you're just like segueing me into this. I was telling the hosts that, lots of times I add this dance music piece in, but I never have the guts to do it. And you know what, to tell you the truth, today, I can make the last 15 minutes about me. Today is actually my 50th birthday. 6 days ago was my daughter's 30th birthday. And in 6 days away is my granddaughter's first birthday. So it's a super, super exciting time right now. And absolutely, would I want them to celebrate their inner weirdos if they want to and how they want to? Absolutely. So I have so much to celebrate and be grateful for. And if I can share some of that love with you, I actually have my, you can't, the whole world can't see it anymore, but I got these banners, it's like, I'm kind of having birthday in a quarantine bubble, but it's really neat how my family has found creative ways to try to match me with that. So I actually hung these so the whole complex could see that I was celebrating today, whether I'm on my own or not. And can you just skip one past this and then go back to see if there's anything else that I'm missing? I don't know see, laughter. Has anybody seen this before? Is it a chihuahua or is it a freaking muffin? Keisha, I love the laughter. Oh my God. Isn't that great? Is it a muffin or is it a dog? Now, if I'm here to remind you to have that magic chuckle and move that energy and to validate, I remember one time I was watching these doom and gloom freaking conspiracy things when I was sick. I was homesick and I just did not get better. And so I still have it on my history of my phone somehow in YouTube or something, where I Googled like the funniest weather report bloopers or bleepers or whatever. And I just watched those for 2 days and I got better so much quicker, right? Like sometimes we just have to take charge of our own energy and vibration and do whatever it takes. And so these little things, like, I'm so glad I asked you to, we can't miss this thing. And now I'm scared to know what's on the next one. I'm really curious. Oh, this one. Okay. So this is cool. So this will just sum it up before we end together. How about that? So I just finished doing this 3-week workshop. And excellent, Keisha. This 3-week workshop, and we really focused on the 4 aspects of self: emotional, wellness, emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical. And we brought in speakers, elders, and we really hit those different points to try to bring some balance and strength to people. But when I went to this, I'm like, I'm just focused on this part. And I don't know what the rest of this is. And like I told you, I have to live something before I get it. So when I brought this up at the end of the 3 weeks with these 10 lovely human beings, I was like, wow, we brought all those outer aspects in. By addressing these 4 parts of ourselves, we actually touched on all of these other pieces. And that's what this means. Like I honestly, I've been looking at this. I actually had to like break this down and present on it when I was trying to get a job at First Nations Health. And it just kind of eluded me until I went back and reflected on that. And these are all things that are inherent to our being. We all have these things. We all deserve these things. And we all need to take, I don't want to say responsibility in that way, but we really need to take charge of our wellness and make sure we're being super creative about meeting these things through the winter. And so maybe you want to flip back to the dance party part, because I don't know about you guys, but was I supposed to speak for 45 minutes or an hour? Because now I'm confused.
An hour.
Okay, good.
So got 10. Yeah.
And so I think I just want to do a 1-word checkout, and then I'm going to leave you with the last view of me dancing my 50-year-old self right off the screen. I don't know if you guys are doing a closing after or not, but I really want to hear people's energies. I'd like a 1-word checkout, just something quick that sums up, how you're leaving this beautiful day that you've had with everybody together. And if you don't mind, I'm going to put on my glasses as I get into the spirit of listening to you, because you're all gifts. You're all gifts. So who would like to just unmute themselves and just offer a couple of words to the closing of this? Not everybody has to share, but if anyone feels inspired, just to say a couple words to add good energy into this closing circle before we all have a dance party.
Yeah, I just want to celebrate you, Janice, and celebrate everybody here today in this circle and all the stories that were shared. And I like what that person wrote, celebration. And I think that's a great way to end. And I think, laughter and humor is such good medicine, and we always forget that. And I think that's how we can be stronger and be warriors, is be able to like laugh and dance our way through trauma, through our work. So thank you for those reminders. And
you're welcome. You just reminded me of something else. Sorry, Olvi, is that your name? Did I get that right? Is that one of the things I've learned about wellness is sometimes it's not about getting the strength down, or the stress down, but it's about elevating the joy. And I'm like, wow, I can focus on that. That's a better vision for me. It's not stress management. It's like joy expansion. Like, how can I find happiness and joy? Like, how do I create that for myself? Truly what I enjoy. And it goes down to that, like, what do I want? Because lots of times we're so busy looking after everyone else. So thank you so much for that reminder of that teaching that I've had. Well, thanks, Nathaniel.
Uplifted.
Oh, it was a pleasure. Glad to sit on it. It was amazing.
Excellent, thank you.
I want to say I'm profoundly grateful. I love and admire you so much, and I'm so grateful to have met you and to have you in my life in ways that I do. But I also feel profoundly grateful for everything that's happened today, for all of the speakers, for all of the ways people have contributed, and that I get once again that I get to be in a job that means so much to me and matters so much, and just to hear people's stories and the way they're moving through the world is really inspiring and gives me hope, and like I said, I feel a lot of gratitude. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Janis. Happy birthday.
Oh, thanks, Hermione. Oh, Gillicasla, uplifted. This little character thing, isn't that an actual real sea creature on Nicole's little picture there? Like, if that doesn't make you smile, I mean, what will? Oh, thank you very much, Nicole. Awesome. Synchronicity. Thank you, Ben. So are you all ready to like get out of your chairs and just shake this day off? Like, keep all the goodness with you.
Yes.
Keep all the good stuff. Keep all the beautiful ways that you are impacted by your peers and by your colleagues, and keep all that. And then let's just shake off the rest. How about that? Let's do that. All right. This closet Taylor Swift fan. We got this. Woohoo! I even have a disco ball. Like, I feel like it needs to be part of the vision, but you know what? I'll just stare at it instead. I bought it for my friend's 50th online birthday.
Here.
We got some music coming. It's coming.
I'm
It's
with
coming.
DJ.
I gotta play through an ad.
It's already playing in my mind.
Okay.
Woo! Congratulations, you guys.
Thank
Y'all did
you.
awesome. To
Can
be
you
on
hear
Zoom
it?
all that long?
Is
Oh.
it working?
No, not yet. Did you choose a little option that says share sound? Oh yeah, you're the one that taught me that, didn't you?
Oh,
Is
man,
my
that's so
presentation in the way? Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Honestly, that's a long Zoom session you just went through. So well done.
Thank you so much, Janis. Thank you everyone for being here. We're all gonna dance. This is great.
Yeah, we are.
I say I'm too late. Got nothing in my brain. That's what people say.
Oh yeah, you can sing along.
That's what people say. I go on too many dates, but I can't make them stay. At least that's what people say. That's what people say. But I keep cruising. Can't stop, won't stop moving. It's like I got this music in my mind saying it's gonna be alright. 'Cause the player's gonna play, 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 Yeah. 'Cause the players gonna play, 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 play. And the haters gonna hate, 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 hate. I'm just gonna shake, 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 shake. I shake it up, I shake it up. Heartbreakers gonna break, 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 break. And the fakers gonna fake, 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 fake. I'm just gonna shake, 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 shake. I shake it up, I shake it up. 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 Shake it up, I shake it up. I shake it up, I shake it up. You got to. I shake it up, I shake it up. I shake it up, I shake it up.
Valley.
You all rock. Oh
I
my
hated
goodness.
that.
How amazing was that?
Oh, that was awesome.
Wow.
Oh man, I recorded that. Probably.
So fun.
Oh, man.
That's awesome.
I can't believe this is my job. This is fantastic.
Oh, that was awesome.
You could tell people you get paid to dance and let them figure that out. It's great.
Well, yes, thank you
And-
so much,
oh.
everybody. Wow. I'm leaving definitely out of breath and very inspired and grateful for all of your contributions and your words, and all the participation is just, I feel so good. So
Aw, I'm
I hope
so
it's-
glad.
yeah. Yeah.
You all
Yeah.
rock. And yeah, that axolotl or whatever. Can I get one of those for a pet? No, leave it, leave it. All right, so this is, I don't know, you can't tell. I look like I'm like going into the mines or something on Zoom, but it's actually a 50 birthday queen crown.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I never thought I finally feel like I've earned the right to wear a crown. It took a while, but there you go.
Thanks.
So I'm out.
That was
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
With us.
I'm gonna go pick up my cake by 5:15.
yeah. good job.
Okay.
They're waiting for me.
Thank you. We
Thank
have
you,
a
Mark.
poll. I
Thank
don't know if we
you.
have minutes.
Bye. Hello, Kisla.
Love you, Hermione. Thank you, Keisha Gilkazla.
Thank you. We're
Oh,
starting.
thanks
at
so
10.
much. That was
Thanks, all.
wonderful.
Thanks, Monty. Thanks for being here. We're starting at 10 tomorrow for anyone, just so that everyone knows. Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you. We'll hopefully see everyone tomorrow.
Yeah.
And
What time does it start tomorrow? Sorry.
10. Start at 10. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
you.
All right.
It's 10 here, but that, like Ben is saying, it's 1 in like Toronto. So
Yeah.
just, yeah, if you're somewhere else, just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 3 hours difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have an aunt that lives in BC. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Yeah.
Bye.
I really
And
appreciate
Sage,
it.
I have a question.
That good.
I didn't register for tomorrow because I couldn't make it for the full day, but if I can join in for part of it, can I still use the same link?
Yeah, totally. It's same link. It's totally come for whenever you can. It's totally, we appreciate you being here so much. So yeah, definitely
you
come
guys.
for whatever works. Thank you.
You're amazing.
Thank you. Yeah. And yes, we're recording, so there'll be recordings after. So if you do miss, you'll be able to watch the recordings after too. So that's another point that someone asked before, and thank you for saying that. So yeah, you can definitely tune in at another time, if not tomorrow. So thanks everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye. Have a good sleep, I hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
You all did an amazing job, Sage and Jenny. I just want to tell you today was an amazing day. Everybody was great, like just stellar, everything. So thank you so much for the great work, and
Thank you for
thanks
coming.
for leaving us on a high note. I love it.
Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you.
Well, that was all Janice, that lovely birthday girl. So thank you. Thank you for coming. I'm so
Aw.
glad we were able to connect.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
See you
Good night.
tomorrow,
Good night,
friends.
everyone.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.
Whew.
Do you want to stop the recording, Jenny?
Yep.